Okay, I'm going to start my presentation today for y'all. I've noticed some things going on in the industry, what's going on in our district, and I haven't done a very good job of preparing everyone on some of the things that are going on that can cause you some trouble, and not only you, but cause us indirectly some trouble. So today's topic is going to be gone phishing. Really, it's all about deception. Phishing is one type of deception. I'll talk about some others. We've got some for high school and middle school students. Our teachers here will go through a little bit on land school when I get done with this. Talk about that a little bit. Show you some features that you might not have known. But in a nutshell, we're going to go into being tricked or deceived with your computer. And it's 2016. We're connected to the internet, which means we're connected to literally billions of people's potentially just a whole wide world out there. And that's where the bad guys are. And you've been under attack for some time. You just may or may not have known it or thought of it that way. There have been attacks on you specifically for some time. So let's go through and let's talk about phishing. This is a video on YouTube from Semantic Corporation that introduces phishing very well.
Quick guide to scary internet stuff and how to be safe. Number 1. Phishing. Phishing with an F is a way to catch fish using bait, like worms. It's fun, except for the worms. Phishing with a PH isn't fun. It's scary internet stuff. Phishing is a way for bad people to catch your private details, like your bank account number or passwords. The bait they use is lies. Here's how phishing works. Say you get an email. It looks like it's from someone you trust, like your bank, but it's not. It tells you to confirm your bank details or your account may be closed. Scary. You click on the link and go to a website. It looks like a real bank website, but it's not. You enter your details and someone uses them to steal your identity and buy things with your money, which is not nice. Here's how to be safe from phishing. Number 1. Your bank will never ask you to confirm your details via an email. Ever. This is the most obvious way to spot a phishing attempt. If you receive an email like this, don't click it. Number 2. Look for your name. Phishing messages say things like, "Dear valued customer." If it doesn't say your name, don't click it. Number 3. Look at the URL in your browser window. If the URL looks like a different name from the name of the company, don't click it. Number 4. Rest your mouse pointer on the link. That will show the real web address. If it doesn't look like the proper company name, don't click it. Number 5. Look for spelling mistakes. If there are any spelling mistakes or the email doesn't look professional, don't click it. Number 6. Get security software that includes anti-phishing and identity protection features like Norton 360. Best of all, just don't use links in emails to go to websites. Ever. Always type in the URL instead. Thank you for looking at our quick guide to scary internet stuff and how to be safe.
We'll go into it a little bit more in depth. Basically, it's deception. It's trying to get your information, valuable information. And they talked about banking there, but it could easily be your Power School login or maybe your Facebook login. So it's deception. So let's go see some examples of this. And I'm going to call this traditional phishing. Let's start off with the email. If you look in your junk folder, you look in your spam folder, whatever, there's just literally gobs of stuff in there. And the reason it's in there is our email provider, Google or somebody, has looked at it and says, this kind of looks like spam. I'm throwing it away, not throwing it away, but I'm throwing it in there. And you need to be very, very, very careful before you open anything in there, because it's in there for a reason. Let's talk about that's email. How else can you be phished? That's right. Text. Have you ever got a text on your phone that says, hey, click here to do this or do that? How else? I've seen some people get hacked. They call, Facebook. You ever seen somebody get Facebook hacked and they put up some gnarly, nasty pictures? I'm not sure what the motivation is of the people that are doing that, but I've seen that. Of course, you could probably phishing or deception in general. We're talking about trying to trick you is phishing you via voice. They call you on the telephone. Hey, you win a cruise. And before I forget it, it can happen through mail too. I've seen things that you won a cruise, and you get it in the mail. You think you're doing great. Call this number. Blah blah blah. Phishing it's just electronic phishing is kind of what we're going to focus on today. There's other kinds. It's just kind of common sense and being careful. The sad part is it can happen to anyone that you can make a mistake. And my goal today is to help you have a few more tools in your toolbox that you won't get fooled. So let's see what I have a link to this, kind of the traditional definition. I just go to Wikipedia. What is phishing? It's the attempt to get sensitive information, usernames, passwords, credit cards, for malicious reasons. Communication purporting from popular sites, bank, eBay, you name it. They're trying to trick you out of your one way or another. So let's look at some examples. Here's one that I think I pulled from my email. Let me blow it up just a smidgen, but you get the gist of it. Dear beneficiary, you've won $3,500,000. I would guess that everybody in here has received an example of this. Is that true? Let's take a look at another one. Hassan. Compliments. How are you doing? Hope you haven't forgotten me, Hassan. All about this. I would call these more traditional. They've been around forever since the internet seems to come along. That's pretty common. Let's try the next one. Oh, people are getting smart. They're tying it not to Nigerian. We're all, it's the Nigerian people wanting our money. Let's go look at our Amazon example. We have a $50 voucher. Now, is this legit? You're going, well, man, I could use that $50. It's not 5 million, 3 million. It looks legit. It was emailed to me. Must be legit. Well, we need to have tools to check to see whether that's legit or not. I'm going to teach you how to do some of that today. Here's another one. You got to be careful. This is the stuff that I would assume that, Kohl's card. We've got, do you think it's possible that bad guys can steal a graphic and manage to put it in the email somehow and maybe make some links that take you off to someplace bad? You think that's possible? Just because you see a graphic does not make it true. Then let's talk about this one, the surveys. We all get them. Great news, you can earn $50 if you complete this. Now, the question is, some surveys, maybe you might get some money. I've actually done a survey or two and actually made 10, 20 bucks. But anymore, I'm even getting to the point I don't even do that. I just figure I don't have time for surveys. I don't trust them. The question is, on this website was talking about, are all surveys scams? In a nutshell, I don't think they're all scams, but I tell you what, I my advice to you, you can go do your own reading on survey scams. Really, what they're doing is they're gathering data about you, and one of the reasons they gather data about you is um, the digital world. That's worth money. Even just knowing that, oh yeah, you have pets, so that data is information. You have a dog, uh, so sometime an advertiser can target dog food at you or something. All data about you that some outfit can learn is worth money. And, we could go into a whole different presentation here. We're not going to. I mean, about privacy and whatnot. I mean, when you put your information out there on Facebook, or you send an email through our Gmail system, or we do a Google search, do you think people are gathering that data to be used? Now, we could argue that Facebook's doing it. Let's just use them as an example, or Google, for legitimate ads. Okay. Well, the same thing goes. People are getting this data, and because there are marketers out there that want that data so they can sell their products. But there's bad guys too that want to take advantage of you, and the more they know about you, the more successful they'll be. So you go, how do these bad guys find you? There's a couple different ways. Just give you an idea here. Let's say I want to run a spam campaign where I send out a bunch. Maybe I'll just go out and buy 25,000 email addresses that are verified. And it's $150. I can cancel it anytime I remember. Or maybe 550, I get 100,000. And if you only let's say you only trick a certain percentage of those. Now this is a legitimate website. I mean, Campaigner, maybe, if you start spamming them, maybe, but I'm telling you, there are black market sites out there that people can buy bulk email addresses that they've collected and they sold, definitely, so they can easily target you. So that's kind of, in this world, people have collected information about you, your email, and if they're focusing in just on you, maybe they could just go to our website and look through and go, oh yeah, there's Brooks Barda's email. I mean, you can find our email on our website. It's easy enough. Another example off our website. These people are interesting from a phishing standpoint. Are more interesting than the previous page? Why is that? Why do you think I think that this page is more interesting to someone that's phishing? That's right. Superintendent of the school has purchasing authority, accounts payable, receivable, payroll. We know who these people are, and now those phishing, when they go do an attack, if they're smart, they're going to go after the people that have the money and see if they can maybe say, well, make it look like Mr. Stone says, oh yeah, let's run this through and pay for this or purchase this. And if they can trick some of these people downtown. So I know Debbie always talks about there's just tons of junk that comes through even her email down there. And Debbie Michaels. So just telling you that to find you, it's not that hard. So we're kind of going on to some other types of something that's called spear phishing, and that's kind of what I'm a little bit worried about as a school district. Anybody know who this guy is? And why he might be on my... That is, I believe it was in 10/20/15. That is our CIA director, John Brennan. And people hacked into his personal AOL account by tricking Verizon employees, having trouble. You call, hey, I'm having trouble. And they were able to break into his account. They figured out, they looked at his phone number and figured out it was a Verizon number. There's ways to do that. Just to show you that the concept is called spear fishing, where you go after a big fish, and those big fish, or people where the money is, or whoever they're targeting, is a type of fishing. So hopefully we don't ever get speared. So let's run through what the first video talked about. Remember, how are we going to determine whether something's junk or not junk? So what I'm going to do here, we're going to take 5 or 10 minutes. I'm not sure how long this is going to take. I'm going to have you open up your mail, go to your junk mail folder. Don't want you necessarily clicking in. I want you to examine the email message, and I'll show you kind of thing. I'm going to show you how to hover your mouse over a link to see if it makes sense. Look for some spelling mistakes. Is your name in it? So let's pop over there to my email. Go to my junk mail. And let's just scroll down a ways, see if we can find something that looks interesting enough that gift, some sort of invoice. Now that's another one. You can see that it was sent to my T-Sextro, was an old email account of mine. It says invoice. It's kind of trying to trick me. There's no URLs in this one, but it does give you an example of it may be a possibly infected Word document. You got to be real careful you don't open those, or it could put something on your computer. So not always an email necessarily they're just going, this infection then makes your computer to where they can communicate with us. So some are legitimate, like this GSX is I'm not sure if it is. So if we go like this, hold our cursor over, look at there, digest.wizardsoft.ru. What's .ru? That's Russia, that's correct. So you know damn good and well that that is not legitimate. We do use GSX. Somehow they figured out that even I'm a GSX. Who'd they send it to? Don't know who it was, but it's definitely a bad thing to be going there. They probably make it look like an Apple. Like it's the website that you would think it would be. Got to be real careful, real careful. I'm that close to making a big mistake. That's why I actually never look in my junk mail. If somebody does contact me, say I'm having trouble, I send you an email, you're not getting it, then I'd look in my junk mail. But other than that, I don't care. I've got enough email to mess with. So that's a couple examples. That's what I want you to do. Look to see if your name's mentioned. There's not Tom Sextro. Check the link and see what's going on there. What was the other thing? Any other tips? Does it look like it's sent to me, or is it sent to just a bunch of people? What was the other one? Spelling mistakes. And if you ever have to go to check like our GSX, you sure don't go click here. You go to the GSX account that we might have bookmarked on my computer. So let's take 5 or 10 minutes here, and I want you to go through find some of your most interesting junk mail that we can share and talk about for just a little bit, and we'll go from there. Now you've had time to look through your junk mail and to hover your mouse over some of the links. If you're not certain, there's nothing in life worth clicking on. Don't do it. It will cause you grief, or it definitely caused me grief, and it could cause you grief. So let's talk about how can phishing attacks be more effective, because I think some of it is we've got to think ahead just a little bit, just some common sense. Who should they target? We talked about that earlier, where I'd target, if I were a phisher, I'd target the administration, people with the purchasing power at the district. If you're attacking the district, you can target parents with the kids need help, blah blah blah. But let's take a look at some of the research findings. Let's click on this. Why do employees click and what to do about it? And that's kind of one of the main motivations of why I'm doing this presentation today. Phishing scams impersonate a trustworthy source to steal information. Here's the statistics that I want to focus on. Only about a fourth of employees surveyed say they never accept invitations from strangers on social media sites. 1 out of 4. So anytime, it's kind of like your house. If a total stranger walked up to your house and, hey, I'd like to get to know you. Can I come in? And you say, what would you normally say? I'd say, hell no. I don't know who you are. I'll go stand out on the porch with you maybe, but you're not gonna enter my house. Electronically, we let our guard down. When you let your guard down, you increase the chances of bad things happening. I'm talking about Facebook. I'm talking about LinkedIn. I'm talking about email, chat, and eBay. There's just so many things. We live in an electronic world. We rely on our technology. You've got to be careful. Don't trust anyone. You get an email and it says it's from Tom Sextro and it's asking you for something. Pick up the phone. If have him, talk to me in person. Or the superintendent says, "Hey, I need your social security number," or whatever. Don't provide that important information over email. And even on the phone, make sure you're 100% sure. Better be safe than sorry. 39% of employees admit to opening emails that they suspected might be fraudulent or might contain. So that's not good. That's bad. Our biggest, we can put up the best firewalls, the best filtering systems. I don't care what we do technologically. It's not going to do us any good when all the bad guys have to do is sneak in and attack you, and then you attack. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we've got to get everybody in our organization here in school district, and I'm talking about students too. We've got to do a job to get these students, employees, to understand more about this threat, not only to you but to our organization. Only 36% of our employees are confident they could recognize and resist a phishing attack. Well, hopefully after today you have some ammo. You can at least know that if it's in your junk folder, I'd just stay out of it. But if you do happen to go in there, and even on something that doesn't go through your junk, I can actually send, and I will be doing this, I can send out a phishing attack that'll look like it's coming from me, and I'm going to try to trick you. That could be coming at any point in time to any employee in our district. I want you to be able to hover your mouse over something if you're not certain, and then recognize whether it's a phishing attack. Maybe there will be a prize attached if you manage to avoid that. So just letting you know, one way I've got to educate you is I'm going to, just like with students, you give them the instruction, and then I'm going to have to test you. And I think as an organization, I've got to start doing this because this is the most threat. How do I say this? This threat can hurt our district, not only the employees, but financially it can hurt our district. And we've got to do a better job, starting with me, starting with our tech team, from passwords, for keeping our computers up to date, just the whole gamut of things. We're going to improve in this whole area so we aren't someday in a situation where we go, ooh, I didn't know what was coming and it hit me and I didn't have a clue. We're going to be prepared. Get ready for war. More than half the employees express a lack of confidence that their colleagues could resist a phishing attack. I find that kind of humorous. Now, that 36% of them, there's just some, I know I can, but I don't know about Jimmy over here. That's kind of humorous. Only 39% of employees surveyed receive ongoing security training at their work more than once a year. I would say in our district, we don't hardly get it. I don't provide any security awareness training. This is the very first one that I've done that's very serious. We're going to improve in this area because we have to. And unfortunately, I know in K-12 that Holton is not unique in this inability to spend time training because we're so busy focused on teaching kids, which we should be, assessments, you name it. And cyber training doesn't necessarily get to the top. I guarantee in banks, they get security awareness training a lot more than we do. We've got to improve, and today's the first step in that. So I have some research findings. Just showing you, when I went to my LinkedIn this weekend, people asking pending invitations. Now, you may not all have a LinkedIn account. How many of you have a LinkedIn account? Do you accept everybody's invitation to be linked to you? Just because it's kind of like Facebook, you want to see how many friends you can get. I'm telling you what, I don't know these people. You don't know these people. I don't care if it looks like there should be somebody. If you don't know them, do not link to them. The reason is LinkedIn is a professional, kind of where you at work. This is the place where I want to attack an organization. Where can I find their IT person? Where can I, it's actually very valuable for people who want to attack districts or businesses. Guard your LinkedIn. If you don't feel like it's guarded, maybe get rid of it. Google Plus, I just noticed this. I get these emails all the time. Sometimes they're really pretty girls. Like, hey, can you add me to your circle? And in Google Plus, you can add it, circles, and I'm not going to go into a lot of this, but people want to share, and they're strangers. Simple. Just like we used to tell our kids, stranger danger. Just in the tech world, it's the same thing. Don't even ignore it. You don't owe them anything. Let's go on to the next thing. So let's back up. We're talking about phishing and deception. Phishing is where they're phishing for information and you give it to them, right? Or they hope you will. Hey, give us your email address and password. Give us your Power School information and password. Give us your banking information and password. And then we will use that against you. Well, there's another way to deceive you. One of them is to also trick you to install something. And I feel bad. We've been trying to find a place, and this site actually does work pretty well. en.saveitfromnet.net. It lets you download YouTube clips to your computer. But I'm going to show you. This is what I call deceptive or scareware. Or, well, it's not just scare. It's scareware. It tries to scare you to do something, either call a phone number or to install something. So I'm going to try to see if we can do this live, and I'm going to go to savefromnet.net, and there it comes right there. Hey, guess what? This looks pretty legit, doesn't it? I need Adobe updated. Do you really think I need Adobe updated? I guarantee you, I checked earlier. Under my, anytime you want to go to find out is your Adobe need to be updated, you go to System Preferences, Adobe or the Flash Player down here. It says Flash Player updates. Check now. Let's take a look. Oh, it's up to date. So while it looks legit, this is a web page. And if I hover my cursor over there, can you see there at the bottom? It's going to set to updatesnet.net. Just in a nutshell, just stay away from that stupid website. They're trying to trick you to install something. You are the administrators, at least most of the employees in the district, the students are not, are administrators of the computers. So they get you to download this. You run it, you install it, and when you install that software, then they've got you. Whatever they're trying to do, they're winning. You're losing the war. Then we have to come through and maybe clean it up, and hopefully there's not too much damage from it. So watch out. Do not Got to watch out for certain websites. This is one of them. And this is, I feel bad because I said, hey, this, and it does work. Decide if you ignore all that and get to the right actual link. But there, I've seen more of this. We got a couple people over at Colorado, or excuse me, at Central Elementary had their iPads. They went to some website. They were searching for something. It says, hey, your computer's infected. They were smart. They called me on the phone, said, hey, can this be true? I said, no, it's a deceptive web page. And we had to go in and just go to settings on the iPad to Safari, clear the history, and everything was fine. They just happened to go across a web page. It didn't mean their computer was infected, but potentially if you do some actions, something bad could happen. So this deception links, I kind of call it, there's so many terms, malware, adware, ransomware, and I'm sure I'm missing a ware somewhere. Get it? That's pretty funny. So once, one is you give them the information. Two is you install some crud on your computer. They tricked you. I've had more of this happen in the last year than I've had ever since we've had internet on our computers. More adware, and today we're going to fix some of that. I'm going to have you go through and we'll see how many of you actually had malware on your computer. So the goal is to maybe let's start off with malware is pretty straightforward. Malware is where it gets on there and it's doing something malicious, MAL, and that's kind of adware is a little different. They're trying to get when you search for something, it's going through them before it goes to Google. They're trying to capture data about you, redirect your searches, those kind of things. Some stuff you install on your computer could be a keystroke logger. You say, well, I've got great, there's no way I'm all right because when I install, I have passwords that are top secret. I got 6 million characters. There's no way that anything's going to get that but these keystroke loggers will, every key you press on your keyboard, A, S, D, F, it takes all that into a big text file. Think of it as a word. Everything you type all day long, some of it might not make sense, but you type in your password, you type them, right? And it sends that off, and it's able to possibly, in addition to doing figuring out where your web history is, it can figure out what your banking account is. Keystroke loggers scare the hell out of me because if you get a keystroke logger on your computer, it doesn't matter if they got secure websites because they've got your everything you type. And if you think about what do you type? Usernames and passwords. And that's the worst kind. Thankfully, we haven't run across that much, but I got a feeling those days are coming again. And they install software on your computer, just like with we have trouble sometimes with state assessment testing. They were attacked. You remember whenever it was the year before last. Your computer can be basically send out bad bunches of packets to a website, illegitimate packets, asking to load up a web page 5,000 times. Your computer can attack others, and sometimes that's what they're doing because they can create what are called botnets, and your computer, and along with millions of other computers, can attack a website, for example, and try to bring it down, and that's worth money to bad guys, knowing that at any moment in time it sits there and lurks on your computer, and then at that moment when they need it, they can turn it on, boom, we're going to take down state assessment testing or power school or what have you. So, just a little more about that. Let's talk about ransomware. I'm going to kind of give you, this one is becoming more common, and even, if you're not careful.
Billy and Teresa Niedermeyer are very tech savvy, but faced with an online ransom, they caved.
It felt violated. It felt frustrating that they're taking our hard-earned money and they're pocketing it. They're putting it in their pockets or funding who knows what.
Suddenly, one day, they couldn't open their business records, family photos, or movies. All of them frozen by a cyber criminal who demanded a ransom paid in bitcoins. the untraceable currency.
Even though we got had for $800 Canadian, they're brilliant.
Ransomware, as it's known, doesn't steal your files, it encrypts them and offers instructions on how to pay money to decrypt them.
Anything that the person using the computer probably created themselves and has some either business or emotional meaning to them that they might be willing to pay money for.
The latest version of ransomware targets computers and Android phones. The FBI warns Apple devices are likely next up. The city of Detroit refused an $800,000 ransom when its databases were criminally encrypted. But others have paid, including an unnamed BC law firm.
The software provided a notice with links, and the software said that they needed to pay a ransom within 12 hours, and if that ransom wasn't paid within 12 hours, that ransom would effectively double.
The Law Society now recommends what malware experts have long suggested: have antivirus software and ensure it's up to date, because ransomware variants change quickly. Never ever open or download an attachment, app, or software that you don't fully trust onto your computer or phone.
The best advice for folks, of course, is to always keep a backup of all of their computer documents that are important. And then you're, not just protected against criminals who may decide to hold your files hostage. Of course, you're also protected if there's a fire or a flood or, heck, your hard drive just dies, right?
And again, yeah, that's one of the reasons, and we've got to do better on backing up our data. You can protect yourself from ransomware if you have good backups. You just say, no, I'm not paying it, and have somebody will reinstall your computer, and away we go from a backup. So backups are critical. We don't take those seriously enough, but I'm trying to get you to where you will. So the next activity we're going to do here, and I want you to do, is you're going to install a program called Malwarebytes, and it says, so when I click on this on your computer, normally I would give you the URL, but it's malwarebytes.org. And when you get to that, it should look like this web page. You scroll down to where it says Malware and Bytes Anti-Malware for Mac. We've used this to clean up some computers that have been tricked in our district. This actually happens to us, and we're going to get on top of it. Get my free download. You click it. You see that it starts to go to download it, and then you can kind of see up here. It starts MBAM-Mac 1.3.72, and I want to kind of show you how to install it. Hopefully you already know how to install software, but if you don't, I'm doing this demonstration for you. Malwarebytes will go through and look for junk on your computer. And before I go to open it, I think they had, I thought they had, maybe they don't. Let's go ahead and do it. You double click it to install it. And I'm thinking that this piece of software we've got to put on all our computers. Now we could push it out, but I'm going to show you how to install it yourself. You drag that over to your applications. It shows you how to do that. I'm not going to install it because I already have it. So now it's called Malwarebytes. So if I want to run it, the easiest way is to click the search box, type malware, hit return, and it pops up a little program like this. I want you to do this activity and scan your computer. When you click, it will take just a little bit, and maybe it had to download it there. Scanning for adware, certain ones it scans for all kinds of junk. Genio, we've had trouble with that one. And the nice thing is, some of these are, if you use Chrome, there's going to be some crud that these extensions that they install that is adware. Mine didn't find any. Of course, I would have cleaned it up by now. Yours is going to have some stuff. I would say I'm going to make, I say, a fourth of you. We'll find out what percentage of you already have some. Some of it may not be horrible. It may just be adware. Adware is probably the least malicious to you and your computer. But Genio slows down your computer's So that's what Malwarebytes. Let's spend a few minutes here and get that installed on your computer and run it. And let's find out what percent of you have some sort of crudware. And tell me what kind you have, because I'd be curious. Another thing to consider installing is a program called Avast. And I'm not going to take time for you guys to do that. If you want to, you can. It's Avast, avast.com. It's actually, both of these are free for the Mac. In general, you never really had to do some of this stuff, and I think 2016 is where you may have to. And so they're giving it away kind of free for the Mac. It's supposed to work on antivirus and malware and different things, browser cleanup. I'll give you a demo, just kind of. You can get free download of avast.com. On what will happen up here, there's a menu. If you do install it, it will kind of give you some messages. You can open up Avast. You're protected, it says. You can scan for your whole computer. It takes a long time. It looks through everything. You'll see some shields, some reports. I'm going to full system scan. I'm going to go ahead and open that. And what you're going to see is there's some documents. You remember you can get a Word document sent to you. Maybe it's somewhere, and it's got some infections. Chances are it doesn't affect the Mac. Win32 is Windows. Some emails, some things that were sent in emails, junk that's on your computer that it went through and deleted. Some of them may be really old, but it's pretty good about looking at everything that you got on your computer. And I'm talking about some virus. So it's not just malware. Malwarebytes is good for malware, which is our biggest problem. But I've been running this for probably 6 months, and it gives me another layer of protection for free. And so I would encourage you to possibly install avast.com. I will be sending out this presentation to everybody in the district so you can watch this again and so forth. But let's talk about one more thing I'd like to talk about. Things that you got to watch out for. Just trying computer safety. If you take your laptop to a hotel, you take your phone to a McDonald's, don't trust the Wi-Fi hotspots. What I'm going to do today, I've done it. If you go up to your wireless right now, normally what wireless do we connect to? It might be TCH Mobile. It might be Holton USD 360. You see another one called what? Holton School District. So Holton School District, and again, these people that are, for those of you that are just watching this video instead of live, you won't necessarily see this. I can create a Wi-Fi access point, and it looks legitimate. I could go down to McDonald's down there in Topeka and put in something called McDonald's free internet for the Wi-Fi. And what would happen is that you would connect to it, and then I could capture everything that goes. I could be the man in the middle. A man in the middle attack is where my fake phone, who's a hotspot, you could connect to it. It would capture everything that goes through before it goes to the internet. You would get to the internet, you think everything's fine. And again, some of it you might be protected if it was encrypted, like banking accounts. It may not be able to capture that, but they could put a packet sniffer on that device. They could even do it they could root an iPhone, or they could get an Android phone, or they could sit out in a parking lot and have one set up and start scrubbing all the information coming across it so they could attack you. Just don't trust Wi-Fi hotspots. Hotels, I think I would just use my cellular data. Do not, and if you have your computer, and if you have a smartphone, turn that Wi-Fi hotspot of your own on. Connect your computer in that way. Don't trust it. So, how can you be tricked? Who do you trust? Be careful. When you see something comes from me, just because it looks like it came from me in an email or a text, don't always assume it's me. You might trust the payroll people with sensitive information, your boss. Just be careful. We all have blind spots. How can you protect yourself? And we're going to do a better job of this too. keeping your software up to date, like Adobe Flash, Java. And so what I'm going to do is show you how to do self-service. That may be in a separate video. And we may be pushing out Flash automatically across the district for everybody, so you don't even have to do it, and maybe Java too. We've got to do better because we can't have things that attack us, and that would stop one part of the problem, but it doesn't solve it all. Never give out your important information about email. It's not secure. I know a lot of I know people. We have bad passwords. We reuse passwords. Don't reuse the same password for multiple sites. So if somebody gets your Facebook information, your password, could they use that for your banking? Don't do that. And if you're trying to come up with a password that you might remember, one of the things I do sometimes is I have a sentence. We bought the Suburban in Manhattan in 1995, so my password is the first letter of each of that sentence. That's nonsense. It's going to be hard for someone to guess. There are programs out there that will do that sort of thing. Don't use your pets, because somebody can find out your pet and other things, your birthday, lots of things they can figure out because a lot of people do have similar bad habits. There are password managers. I've seen some of you. You can, in Word, you can write down your usernames and passwords, and in Word you can also save that information so it's password protected too. And maybe in that video I send out here about self-service, I'll do one on Word, how to do a password manager. So last thing I want to talk about is two-step verification. Another thing that's kind of coming along, a couple things. Two-step verification is where you go to log into something, but you also have to type in something that's text to your phone. That's to provide some level. I don't know if that's for you. That's pretty complicated. I like where it's going with the phones. You have a fingerprint sensor. It's fairly secure. Can it be hacked? Probably to some degree if they get your fingerprint, but at least it's pretty secure. I don't know. This is a crazy digital world. This is my first attempt to educate you about all the different ways that are out there, malware, deceptive web pages, all the different types of phishing. If you have any questions, please let me know.